how much of our life do we actually have that does not involve an external party? And that external party is the government.
Right,
right?
on. Right
If you
on.
look at the main things that actually matters in life or what for a human, it'd be happiness, food, water, shelter, relationships. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
we are an interdependent species. So those things right there, you know what I mean? At first glance, you say, yeah, we have complete control over. But when you actually break down any one of them, you know, and we've brought up, say, with the families, how much freedom of choice do you have over your family in this current system that we have?
Right.
You know, can you see some ways to where we might not have that freedom that we may think we have? Freedom of the illusion of freedom of choice.
That is the exact word that came to mind when you were speaking. Illusion, smoke and mirrors. You know what I mean? The misdirection play, the man behind the curtain. You know, follow the yellow brick road type of deal. You know, Wizard of Oz. All of this. You know, they don't come up. Art imitates life and vice versa. So yeah, look no further than your favorite movie to really drop jewels and little bits of how real life goes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Within those confines. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So we'll just go down, you know what I mean, even with what they have on here. This is Wikipedia. Freedom of choice in politics. You know what I mean? This is something that's pretty current right now. The abortion debate. At what point, if freedom of choice is based off of having at least two available options, how could there be an abortion debate that tells you what you can and what you can't do with your child? And there's so many different layers to that we can break down, because it goes way more to, it goes deeper than just the abortion. If you look at how much control do we really have, I mean, really sit back and think, how much control do we have over our family? We've went into discussions where you understand, like, the man, and any man that's out there, understand that you are on the bottom of that pyramid. There's no decision that you can make. And it's sad, because the man is supposed to be the protector, provider, the leader.
Yeah.
This system, there's no other way of looking at it. You can never lead your family unless she chooses. Now, she's in a dilemma too, because she can never teach her child unless that child decides to listen. You know what I mean? So we're all in a situation to where there's a higher power, the government, that's in between every single decision that we have to make in our house. So we don't have a freedom of choice. Do I have two options? Yes, I do. It's either stay and fight against something that is not beneficial to your family, the upbringing, the happiness, the sanity, the leadership, everything that a man's supposed to be able to offer.
Right.
I have to be able to run that through the man in order to be able to make sure that it's okay, because just as the woman was able to be raised and not be held accountable for her actions, you know what I mean, more on like a God type of deity, that child has now become the same thing and was raised the exact same way she was. You know, I can remember back in like 2000, I'm sure you probably ran across that situation, hearing the exact same thing. I don't have to be in school, in elementary school, to understand exactly what the teachers are teaching them.
Yeah.
But I heard the teachers explain, well, the kids would all say the same thing: abuse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So at any moment that the parent decided to raise their hand to that child instantly thought of the program that they were taught. And no, you can't abuse me. And I have witnessed multiple situations to where those kids either were taken away or they had the state all up in their business. just because of what a child said, but that child only repeated
Yeah.
and acted upon what was taught in school. And there's a huge difference between abuse and discipline.
Mm, very huge. I gotta agree. I couldn't agree with you more. Very huge difference, man. People is blurring the lines and mistaking one for the other. But now there's definitely a difference between the two, and it's a proper way to do both of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, abuse is a real thing, so it's a proper way to abuse. But a lot of abuse is overstated. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
it's caused a lot of men to question their disciplinary
Mm-hmm.
skills because
Yep.
of that.
Yep. And I can identify with it. I grew up in an abusive household. You know what I mean? So I have witnessed what true abuse is, and the abuse that they speak of now is it's completely different. You know what I mean? Like if you yell at a child, and it's crazy because you still you see that they flinch and they run from any type of authority. That's and at this now because those kids, that were introduced to that system in the early 2000s are now these 20-year-olds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These coming up on 30-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what I mean, if you really look at it, like the lack of discipline and when we look into society and seeing how everything is just going, you know,
Haywire.
crazy right now. Yeah, it's all going haywire right now. We was just speaking on um, the amount of, I'm trying to, because I know we can't say the exact word, but the amount of attacks, what I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that's going out there. And it's coming from men, women, the younger generation. They lost that respect for the elders,
Yeah.
and we can see that when we was out there. If I was out there cursing, I knew not to do it in front of an adult.
Oh
Now
yeah.
these kids literally look at you as though you are their equals.
Mm. Mm. Very. That's a big problem.
Man.
That's a big problem. That's a key element into the breakdown of society as we know it right now. I
Yeah.
believe.
No, that is, but all this is, you know, based off of the fact that they say we have freedom of choice. And that's what
Mm.
we have to wake up. I can't see much more that's important in life, you know what I mean, than to pay attention to it. Because the one thing that we don't know is if we're guaranteed another one, unless we spoke of it, and it's not even God having a controller. It's this government, man. You know what I mean? If you can't see that, then honestly, we can't even have a conversation. I could only hope that something like this might come across you. This AI, look out for a brother, might look out for you,
Yeah.
just to be able to drop a seed into you. You know what I mean? And we'll be able to have this conversation once you finally found the water for that seed to be able to sprout. But it's a big problem. Um, so freedom of choice may emerge in defense of the position that a woman has the right to determine whether she will proceed with or terminate a pregnancy. Similarly, other topics such as euthanasia. Yeah, there was a doctor, there's a couple of them now,
Mm-hmm.
that end up, going away because they gave that patient the they they euthanized their ass. You know what I mean? But it was by their request. So if
Mm-hmm.
I have freedom of choice
Mm.
and I'm suffering, why can't I, what I mean, choose to leave?
Mm.
And in
Mm.
reality, how sick and twisted it is,
Yeah.
if a animal or a cat, which we seem to have more empathy for than a human, if that cat was in misery, they wouldn't think twice.
Not one
Do that
bit.
exactly. Do that animal a favor and take him out. Um, but then again, what we say, freedom of choice. I'm still trying to find it. Vaccinations, you know, freedom of choice.
Yeah.
That was, they did give you freedom of choice, but it was either go out there and join them bums, or if you
Yeah.
want your job, you're going to take this vaccination.
Yes, you are.
Is that freedom of choice? I still can't say it because what my options are to live or not live.
Mhm.
Euthanasia, I can't decide to go that way. So you want to keep me alive?
Mhm.
Everything is just so twisted. Uh, Contraception, same-sex marriage, and even speaking of that, free will. As a heterosexual male, can I express how I truly feel about it?
Mm,
Do I have a choice? Can I be
mm,
canceled? So,
mm,
what is my choice?
mm.
Do I have a choice? And that's the thing. Like they use us against each other. Just like how at one time, well, for the longest, has been, they pitted the woman against their man. Then they put the children against both parents, and now they're using the alphabet crew to go against everybody. you know, which
Right.
is like smearing reality.
Hmm.
We just had a swimmer, makes zero sense to me. Um, was training as a man, decided to go in as was decided to change as a female. You
Right.
know what I mean? And regardless of what anybody's choices were, the only person I felt empathy, sorry for, was that last place person that put their soul and their life into it and end up getting put out by something that identified with something that they're not. That child, that woman's life is obviously less important than the
Hmm.
one that you allowed to come in that is genetically not the same. But this is a world, to where everything is blurred lines,
Yep.
and as long as we continue to allow them to blur our lines,
Hmm.
because this right here is one of the things I will always keep repeating, because this is so important that you guys don't understand. This right here, divide and rule.